Hi, my darlings. I'm Sophie Darling, and welcome back to the channel. If you love anime, heartfelt reactions, and deep dives into symbolism and themes, then you're in the right place. Before we jump into today's reaction, don't forget to hit that like button to show some love, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a moment of fun. And if you want even more exclusive content like early access to my reactions, full length anime watch alongs, and an amazing community of fellow anime lovers, then please do check out my Patreon. You can find a link in the description box below. Your support truly means the world as it helps keep these reactions coming, and I'd love to have you join our cozy little anime family. Sorry, the cat distracted me there for a minute. He is trying to get out. He's usually not in the room here when I'm filming, but let's see if we can get him to come show himself. Are you gonna come up? This is Sullivan. Sullivan, say hi. High definition of Sully Boy. He has not been on camera, I think, since our Death Note React videos, and that is because he's a nightmare to film with in the room because he likes to be up on the desk, but he has to be in here today because if I lock him out, he will cry. Num 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 num. You gonna do some ASMR? He's not going to do ASMR, that's fine. I'm very conscious of him sitting on the keyboard. But today we are reacting to episode 1 of series 1 of Apothecary Diaries. Apothecary Diaries has been on my to watch list for a while. I know people would probably expect me to watch Vinland Saga because we just finished Attack on Titan, but I kind of want to hold off and maybe watch Vinland Saga. There's none left. there's no more. Sullivan. His butt's full on in the camera. There's no more treats. Look, gone. No more. I've lost track of what I was talking about. Essentially, what I want to do is watch Vinland Saga alongside Demon Slayer, so that's going to come after Apothecary Diaries and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I don't really know much about Apothecary Diaries other than the fact that it has been recommended to me quite a lot by friends and also viewers. They think because of how much I loved Freyren that I will most likely really love Apothecary Diaries too. I do know that it is based on Chinese history, so that's going to be quite interesting. I don't know very much about Chinese history, so I am looking forward to learning more, and I guess it's probably not going to be accurate. I think most likely it's going to be the setting is influenced by history and like the dynamics will be influenced by history, but obviously it's not going to be based on like a specific period because it's anime. So it most likely is just going to be influenced by Chinese politics and Chinese culture, but not necessarily stop. But not necessarily based on like a historical period. So don't worry, I won't be taking it as like historical fact. I will be taking it with a pinch of salt, but I am looking forward to looking more into Apothecary Diaries, especially as people have told me that there is a lot of political intrigue, and I do love some political intrigue. So now you have to subscribe, because if you don't subscribe or like this video and leave a comment, Sully will be really sad, and you don't want to disappoint that little face. He's so cute. So yes, you're gonna have to like and subscribe now because of Sully. I don't make the rules, guys. I don't make the rules. He does. But without further ado, we are going to get into episode 1. And we are going to skip the intro, mainly because there could be symbolism that kind of reveals information about the series. So I do tend to skip the intros and the outros and then intend to watch them once the show is done, just because if there is symbolism, I'll understand it further and I'll be able to analyze it more. But yeah, if you're wondering why I skip it, it's just force of habit. I also just said this is a work of fiction, so.
Huh? 六章間に薬を届けてくれないか。
わかった、親父。
最近女狩りが多いから気をつけていくんだよ。
Is that foreshadowing that she's gonna get kidnapped? Or is it a weird little
よろ
flashback?
しく。
行ってきま
Or
す。
flash forward? Oh wow, it's such a pretty anime. Like a lot of attention to detail.
全財産だ、頼むよ。
Courtesans?
これじゃお話にならないね。
あれが六章間の誇る三姫の一人、売れっ子のパイリッカ。
ただで見んじゃないよ。
You have to pay for this honor.
また傷増えてるじゃないの。
Does she work to treat the courtesans?
ちゃんとご飯食べてる？
She's so sweet.
まあまあ、また実験とか言って部屋を爆発させたりしちゃ承知しないよ。それともうちで妓女として働くかい？
No.
薬置いとくよ。
じじによろしくな。たく。
やり手ババアね。好きあらば妓女になるって言って。
Courtesans were exceptionally talented. It wasn't just about sex, it was about being able to please in multiple areas. So they were very well trained, educated young women. Oh, for God's sake.
まさか人さらい？
Yeah. Flash forward. What are they kidnapping her for? Like, are they gonna sell her? Or what's the premise? Like human trafficking?
東宮のご誕生です。リファ様、おめでとうございます。
Oh, he's a baby.
無事にお生まれになったそうです。そう、よかった。
So this is like the royal courtesans, I guess?
親父、ちゃんと飯食ってんだろうか。
Oh, so she's still here. She hasn't gone home.
売り飛ばされたか身代わりにされたのか知らないが、あれからもう3ヶ月。御殿も花街も大して変わらないな。
Yeah, vying for power and position. So she's been sold to the royal family. Damn.
高級は帝の子をなすための女の園だ。男子の立ち入りは一切禁止。入れるのは国で最も高貴な方と
And
そ
eunuchs,
の血縁
probably.
あとは大切なものを失った元男性である宦官だけ。
Because they can't harm women because it's been
合わ
removed.
せて2000人。宦官1000人の大
I know
部隊
some aspects of court
上級費や
politics.
中級費、下級費と違って、私たちのような使いっ走りの下女はいつ命をなくしてもおかしくない。
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to be a concubine either. Even a high ranking concubine, because the pressure to have a child is insane, especially the child of the right gender.
高級に勤める以上、最低限の礼儀は叩き込まれるが、文字の読み書きになれば話は別だ。
It's a
文
luxury.
字が読めてお給金が上がったとしても、結局人さらいに間引かれる金額が増えるだけ。そんな下女でもごく稀に下級費になることがある。要は、
Boobs.
見た目だ。
Oh, likes.
絶壁。肉なし体型。私には関係ない話だな。
Flat. But yeah, the pressure to have a prince for the emperor would be insane.
おとなしく働いていれば2年で出れる。
2 years. Damn.
酒飲みてー。
地方にものすごく綺麗な宦官がいるんだって。ここんとこみんなその話で持ちきりなんだよ。
へえ。
そんなに美形なら一度は見てみたいよね。そう思わな
But
い？
he's also a eunuch.
宦官ね。
Is this a eunuch? Okay, fair. I'll take it back. Oh no, the baby. Oh, both babies have a
申し訳ないのですが
fever.
医官は今東宮の処置にかかりきりでして。
そうですか。
So not as valued as the prince.
今後期内はこの噂で持ちきりなんだよ。
The rough time to be a woman.
おやつぎの連続死。今までの帝の巫女が3人とも生まれてからだんだん弱って亡くなったんだって。おかしいと思わない？
Yeah.
今回も似たような感じ
Is
み
it
たい。
every baby, regardless of gender?
そして今度は玉葉様のところに
Sounds like
様のところにも
someone's trying to sabotage the Emperor's line that they don't want the Emperor to have children.
帝に皇后がいない今、東宮を持つ妃、リファ妃は高級のトップと言えるだろう。
だけど
The most
帝の
valued.
寵愛は玉葉様に傾いているって噂なの。その辺のことも呪いと関係あるかもしれないって。
権力争いか。リファ様ご自身も。
うん、母子ともに頭痛とか腹痛とか
It could be somebody
吐き気もあるって聞い
who's
たよ。
also a concubine or vying for the position of concubine is trying to take
や
out
っぱり絶対
the others so that they can gain favor. It's definitely not a curse.
くだらない。
Sounds like someone's making them sick.
いや、皇位争いなら姫が狙われる理由はない。
Unless they're just going after the Emperor any way they can by taking out his children. But then why not just go for the Emperor? I imagine it would be harder to get close to the Emperor than it will be the concubines and their children. She can't help herself.
お前が悪いんだ。
玉葉様。
自分の子が娘だからと、おの子の悪を呪い殺す気だろ
Oh god, the
そん
internal
なわけないと
politics.
あなたも分かっているでしょう。シャオリンも同じように苦しんでいるのですから。
ジン様。
He's like, I don't want to be bothered
です
with
ので
this.
娘の容体も見ていただきたいのです。
でも
Oh, she's begging for help for her
あの
daughter.
真ん中のオロオロしてる宦官がいかんか？バカだろ、あのヤブ。あれだけ妃二人のそばにいて、本当に気づいてないのか？いや、それ以前に知らないのか？
Is she gonna become the royal physician?
頭痛と腹痛と吐き気、そして何よりリファ様のげっそりとした様子。やはりこれは呪いでも何でもない。問題はどう伝えるかだ。何か書けるものさえあれば。
Oh? Oh? Is he gonna be like the romantic interest? Oh, she lost her son, didn't she? Oh.
東宮が亡くなられたという話が回ってきたのは、それから一月もしない頃だった。
That's awful. No mother should have to go through that. What was with the flowers?
私が水晶宮を訪ねて娘を見てもらいたいと言った日です。あの後窓辺に置いてありました。この枝に言うんで、おしろいは毒、赤子に触れさすな。無知は罪ですね。
Oh, the makeup. The makeup would have been lead, wouldn't it?
最後ま
At
で
the
本当
time?
の処置がわからないようでしたから。
So, if she received the flowers and everyone seems to have recovered because she received the note that said keep the babies away from the makeup powder, the flowers that weren't received, that were knocked off the windowsill, never reached the mother of the prince, and that's why the princess died. But who knocked them off and why? Did she know that that could have cured the baby, or did she just do it out of jealousy or spite? Like, who is she? Why did she do that? But that's so tragic that if she had got the flowers, the fate of the baby would have been different because they didn't know that the makeup powder was impacting the children. But I imagine it's because the makeup powder at the time would have contained lead, which can kill you. Lead poisoning. So they wouldn't have really known that, and they also wouldn't have known that it could impact their children to such an extent. But oh, that's awful.
それを探していただきたいのです。
This is Maomao.
そういえば
Maomao,
あ
Maomao.
の時
何かかけるものさ。
Oh, she said it out loud, and that's what caught his interest.
これはしばらく預かってよろしいですか？
He is very pretty. Even if he is a eunuch, he is very pretty.
こと姫様を慈しんで玉葉様のもとに通っているんだって。
リファ様のところへは？
全然噂聞かないね。
Yeah, she's just lost her
そういう
baby.
ことで。
よし、ではここに集まった全員中に入るように。
下女が偉い人に呼び出されるなんて嫌な予感しかしない。
わざわざ集まってもらって申し訳ない。
Oh, yeah, okay, so this is the eunuch. Everyone was like, he's so
なんだ
handsome.
この偉そうな女官。
She thinks it's a
私は高級管理者の人
woman. He
士。
does have very delicate features.
男なのか。さてはシャオランが言っていたものすごく美しい宦官というのはこいつ
Well,
のことか。
no.
この美貌があるのに子供がなせ
Yeah,
ない
it's kind of a waste.
そばかすを
No one else can
今
read
日
it
はこ
but
れで解
her.
散だ。部屋に戻っていいぞ。
God, he caught her out so quick.
そうか。この中で文字を読める下女は
Oh
私だけ。
no.
それをあぶり出すためにあの書き物を。
Just leave.
早く逃げよう。
ダメじゃないか。君は居残りだよね。
Don't touch me.
はめられた。
不思議だ。調べたところ、君は文字が読めないことになってるんだが。
はい。非戦の生まれでして、何かの間違いでしょう。
So if she can read, either her dad is more prestigious than he lets on, because it's only really something like noble women would learn. So she can't be of that low of birth if she knows how to read. It's expensive to teach a child how to read in this time.
手数をかけました。
Oh, she's so cute.
よかった。
あなたがリンリーの命を助けていただき感謝しています。
そのようなことをされる身分ではございません。
いいえ、どれほど感謝してもしきれません。あなたはヤヤ子の恩人ですもの。
She's gonna get elevated. You saved the princess.
実は玉葉妃からあるものをお預かりしている。これは下女の仕事着に使われる布だと知っているか。
And she has a rip up her skirt
似てますね。
that's been sewed.
娼服に関わる下女用のものらしいな。
Oh
例えば
no.
君のような洗濯係とか。
She's ripped it from her skirt and then sewed her
スカ
skirt
ー
back
トの裾野を
together.
裂いたのだろうか。
You could see the stitches in the scene of the
そこまでバレ
servants.
ていたのか。
説明してもらおうか。なぜ尺投げの枝を窓辺に置いたのだ。
私の育った花町でも高級おしろいを使っている妓女は多くいました。
Oh, so she's seen it
そしてほ
before.
とんどがおしろいに含まれる毒に体を蝕まれ、命を落としました。命と美貌を天秤にかけ、結局どちらも失ってしまった。
Honestly, it's hard being a woman in this day and age.
私は薬屋でしたので、毒には詳しいのです。
It's hard to be a woman in general. But even more so back during this time period.
そのおしろいは
子供の乳母が使っていたものです。他のお城に比べて白さが目立つと好んで使っていました。乳母も体調が悪かったようなので暇を出しました。金子も十分与えて、子供の口に入るものをもっと気にかけるべきでした。
私も同様です。もっと早くに気づいていれば多くの命が救えたかもしれない。東宮も。
フミを見つけてリファ妃にもおしろいのことを伝えましたが、私が何を言っても逆効果だったみたいです。
Oh,
それで、私は
because she's
何をす
seen
ればよろ
as
しいの
being the
でしょうか。
favorite of the emperor, so she doesn't like her.
それでは今日から私の次女になってもらいます。
Oh,
は
that's a rise
マオマオが
in
抑えられ
position.
ないもの。それは好奇心と知識欲。そしてほんの少しの正義感。
Here she was thinking she was going to get beheaded for
や
lying.
ばいやばいやばいやばいやばいやばいやばいやばい。いや、おとなしく働いていればどこにだって。
Just like I want to
こう
leave.
してマ
Let
オ
me
マ
out.
オは帝の寵愛を受ける玉葉妃の次女となったのだった。まあいわゆる出世である。
Yeah. Significantly big promotion.
毒だ。
Oh. Okay. So I wonder if she's going to get tasked to helping the army as well, the Emperor's army, because they've been poisoned. And she had said to Jinji that she knew a thing or two about poisons. But it's really interesting how it kind of comes full circle. We get introduced to her having interaction with the courtesans in the brothels to then being able to recognize that the makeup powder being used is causing the decline of the babies. I don't know who that woman is though that knocked the flowers off of the windowsill. If she could be another courtesan or if she is someone of noble status based on her clothing, based on the fact that she is able to move around the palace freely. She's not dressed like a commoner, she's not dressed like a servant. So she must be of a high enough position that she can afford the luxurious items that she's wearing. But I'm not sure what position she's in because we only really saw that one glimpse of her. So she could be a courtesan, she could be a relative, she could be just another noble that's living within the vicinity of the palace. Maybe someone who's hoping to become a concubine of the emperor, because as scary as being a concubine is, it is also a incredible position of privilege and power. You have influence over the court, you have influence over the other eunuchs around you, you have people vying for your favor, but it's also an incredibly dangerous position because you can be overthrown by other concubines. Your children can be seen as a threat to other concubines, especially if you have a son. If the emperor pays you too much attention, the other concubines may vie for your downfall and use their little web of spies to bring about your decline and your downfall, because in political settings like courts, gossip pays off. Gossip is significantly influential, and I imagine we're going to see that kind of manifest in this show because obviously it's a court atmosphere and you can already see the jealousy beginning to come into play, especially between the two consorts that we've met, where one is favored by the emperor and therefore the other is extremely jealous and then thinks that she's poisoning her son because she isn't the favored concubine, but she had a son. She had essentially the heir to the throne because the favored concubine had a daughter, and a daughter isn't favored as highly. A daughter can't inherit, so therefore the prince is of more value. And we saw that with the physicians not going to meet the princess and treat the princess because her illness is of less significance than the prince's. The prince's life is seen as having more value than that of the princess because she is a girl. She is not as worthy in the eyes of the court. The only value essentially a princess has is to marry well and to bolster her father's control and also his influence by marrying outside of the kingdom or marrying affluent nobles to keep them in line. So a princess really doesn't have much value other than the marriage market, but it's such an interesting show, such an interesting premise already, with her having a apothecary background. She gets kidnapped really quickly on and isn't able to go home. It mentions something that even if she gets an increase, the kidnappers will take it from her. So Are the kidnappers still people that she runs into, that she interacts with? But I'm wondering then if she has a background in poison and a background in medicine, she may then gain the favor of the emperor himself if she's being tasked to heal his soldiers. And she clearly is of higher standing than she lets on because it's very expensive to teach someone to write, to teach a child to write, because you have to hire someone that knows how to read and write themselves. It's not a cheap thing. And also, to spend that money on a daughter means she has to be of value. She has to be from an affluent family if they're willing to go to that extent to make sure that she can read and write. Unless her dad was from an affluent family and he knows how to read and write, but it doesn't look like they were living an affluent lifestyle, especially with her being an apothecary, unless her dad was initially from a rich family and then decided to teach her how to read and write himself, which would mean it would be affordable, and perhaps the family fortunes declined, perhaps he's outcasted and is raising his daughter away from the political landscape that is the royal court. We don't know. It's the first episode, but it's so good. Jinchi is so pretty. It's such a shame he's a eunuch because everyone's lusting after him, and it's like, yeah, but he's a eunuch. So he's kind of bound in terms of loyalty to the court and the concubines, but also he can't have children. So it's kind of redundant. And I mean, eunuchs, their position was to serve the emperor, but to also serve the concubines because they are not deemed a threat or of sexual interest because they don't have their male genitalia anymore. So they can't harm women who they are serving. They also can't be used to cuckold the emperor or any other nobles because they don't have their thing, which means they can't sleep with the women they're serving. They can't have an illicit affair with the women they're serving. So eunuchs were highly favored as male servants during this period of history because they weren't able to cuckold affluent men, and affluent men were very scared of being cuckolded because the legitimacy of children plays such a significant role in ensuring legacy and ensuring that you have an heir to inherit. So if that legitimacy is ever questioned or ever thrown into doubt, then it poses significant problems for who inherits the throne. It can create internal conflict. It can create people vying for power, especially if there's a vacuum because there is no male heir. And at this moment in time, there is no male heir because the male heir has died. But it looks like somebody is killing off all of the emperor's children, whether they're male or female. And that makes me think that it's not so much the children or the concubines that they're trying to get at, but the emperor. They're trying to undermine his control and his legacy. They're attacking his heirs and his offspring, which makes me think that it's somebody that could be wanting to usurp the position for themselves, that maybe has a connection to the throne and believes that they would do a better job. But this was such a fun first episode. I can't wait to watch more of this. This is so intriguing to me, and I actually knew more than I thought I would. I was like, I don't know a lot about this period of history, but I do when it comes to royal courts and their dynamics. Not so much in China, but I do know quite a bit about the positioning of concubines and that often emperors would have multiple concubines vying for the position. Sometimes they would have an empress consort that wasn't ever a concubine, it was a political marriage, and then they would have concubines because it didn't matter so much who your heir came from as long as that you had an heir. Hence why emperors would have multiple women that they were sleeping with and trying to impregnate, because the more the merrier, because the death toll for infants in this period of time was incredibly high, and people also died a lot younger, than many of them didn't live to old age. So securing your legacy before your own death was a particular concern. So, yeah, a lot of Chinese emperors had concubines, and there's even periods of history where concubines have actually taken control after the emperors have passed through their sons because they had the heir and they were able to take over and take control. There's stories of concubines poisoning one another to gain the attention and affection of the emperor by getting rid of his favorite, which is absolutely wild. So I do know bits and pieces of the political dynamic in courts because again, I'm from the UK, so I'm really big into history, especially around the monarchy, but more like Tudor history. I also read a lot of fantasy books that are based around court dynamics. Like Game of Thrones is based around the War of the Roses and the competition for the throne between these two noble households. Obviously, Game of Thrones expands well beyond these two noble houses vying for the throne, but it wasn't just two noble houses, essentially. It was every noble family was siding with one over the other and their competition for the throne. But it's incredibly interesting how accurate it is to how monarchies were functioning in that time period of history. So it's why I really enjoy Game of Thrones, but it's also why I really enjoy fantasy books that have court aspects like Priory of the Orange Tree, because they're quite accurate and I find them really fascinating and interesting. But I'm going on a ramble here. This was really good. I can't wait to watch episode 2. I think I'm going to really love this show already. I am excited to see the dynamic between her and Jinshi because Jinshi seems to be quite taken with her already. He is a little clever mastermind writing it down on the sheet of paper and only she could read it. And the reason all the other servants were there is probably to not spook her because he knew that she would probably suss it if she was the only one asked. She would link it back to her having written that note and left it with the flowers. So he is very smart, very clever, like 2 steps ahead of her. So I can't wait to see that little dynamic play out, especially when he put his hand on her and she's like, get off me. So it's going to be really fun to watch how they interact, especially now that she is a lady in waiting because he is a eunuch serving the concubines. So they will probably have run ins quite frequently together. And he is very beautiful. It's just such a shame he's a eunuch, but he is gorgeous. And I can see why people are fawning over him. It's just so funny that she genuinely thought he was a woman. He does have very delicate features and he has very long hair, but it's still kind of funny that everyone's like, oh my god, look how hot he is. And Maomao's just like, meh. Is a very stern looking woman. But thank you so much for watching this react. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment below to help boost this video into the algorithm. And until next episode, bye!